All right, everyone. So before we get into the details of the quality of this camera and all of the sample photos and videos that I'm about to show you, let's first and foremost go through the camera application because I think this is worth noting. Now, once you get inside of here, obviously we have that wide angle camera on the front and rear facing camera, but as you guys can see, we have that wide angle mode. We have our portrait mode right here as well, if you guys would like to use that. We have our pro mode if you guys know how to change your ISO, aperture, your white balance. You have your autofocus, your timer, and all that different type of stuff. So for the people who are photographers, this is definitely going to be a decent little photography machine for you right here. And also you can save this as either a JPEG, RAW, or RAW JPEG right there. So that's really cool that we have that. If we go into the more section right here, we actually have a ton of different features. We have spot color, we have night vision, we have panorama, we have ultra res using the full 50 megapixels on the rear facing camera, as you guys can see. We also have dual capture photo and video, so whatever your camera sees on the rear facing camera and the front facing camera, you guys can capture it either with photo or video, so that's always useful. We have our time lapse, of course, pretty self-explanatory, and our spot color video as well on there. Now, getting into the photo, as far as the aspect ratios, we can go from 3:4 full, 1:1, or 9:16. We also have video 4K or full HD 30 or 60 frames per second on here, and of course slow motion. So that is everything that we get inside of the camera. We also get HDR, which is great to see on here. So that is pretty much going to kind of make the colors pop a little bit more. So far with this camera, you guys are about to see some videos, some photos on this camera. The photos so far are really good. For $399, I think this camera is absolutely a decent camera. I think it's worth it for $399. You guys are going to get decent colors, and with a lot of the photos that I took, those are the exact colors that I saw when I was taking the photo. So the color reproduction on this camera is actually really decent. I did have a couple issues on this camera, however. With the rear facing camera on 4K 30 frames per second and 1080p 30 frames per second, it was a little bit shaky. I did, see some differences between the Galaxy A54 and this device, and I would say the A54 is a little bit better with its stabilization and recording with the rear facing camera. Now, however, with the front facing camera, it's a little bit weird, but the subject is in decent focus and everything behind it, it's kind of like a portrait mode effect, but when you actually have a subject that you're filming, it's very clear. And this goes for the rear facing camera as well, but the front facing camera, you're usually going to be filming yourself anyways, or you and your friends or a group of friends or whatever. Front facing camera stabilization is much better, and you guys are going to see that right now. That's definitely going to be noticeable, but I feel like for anybody that, doesn't need anything crazy, you guys are filming your kid's soccer game, taking photos of course, your daily life, like food and friends and family and stuff like that, I believe this camera for $399 is going to be absolutely acceptable. I think it's a decent camera. Now, one other thing is that the portrait mode, as you guys see on here, which is kind of the bokeh effect or the blur effect behind it, some of the photos can be a little strong with that blur effect, and I believe you can change that as well if you would like to. So just note that the auto on there is going to be a little bit strong, kind of blurring out the stuff in the background, but honestly, I think it looks pretty cool. Everything on here has been looking decent so far. Let's get into some photos and videos on the Moto G Stylus right now. So this is our 1080p 30 frames per second on the Moto G Stylus. Let me know what you guys think. This is our 4K 30 frames per second on the Moto G Stylus. Go ahead and zoom in a little bit. Walk around though. Seems like it focuses pretty well though on 4K. And this is full HD, 30 frames per second. So those were all of the photos and videos I took on this device. I believe indoor, this camera is decent, as well as outdoor. The only thing that this camera is going to struggle with is going to be a low light. And that's with phones that are around this price tag. Usually any phone that's under like the $800 or the flagship territory price tag, it's going to struggle with low light photos. But I feel like for most people, you're not going to be taking photos or videos in the dark unless you're at like a nightclub or something like that. But if there is a little bit of light source around you, which there should be, and it's not complete pitch dark, it's going to be fine. But those are the photos and videos on this phone. As I said before, I think this is an acceptable camera for $399. And honestly, everything else that this phone entails, whether it's the 256 gigabytes of internal storage, 8 gigabytes of RAM, the Snapdragon 6 Gen 1, and of course the stylus in this device, I think this is a pretty solid device all around. And if you guys don't even need a phone right now, I could honestly wait for this phone to come out, and it's probably going to go down another $100 as we get closer to the holiday season. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about the Moto G Stylus 5G. Hopefully you guys have a beautiful day. Again, this has been Safal from TechRight. Peace out, Tech Gang.